welcome to another live stream. Hopefully you guys can hear me. Wait until some of you file in. I'm actually going to pull up chat on the computer back here. Okay. Alright guys, I was trying to improve the stream quality for today, but what I had planned didn't really work out too well, so I had to go back to the drawing board on a few things. Today we're going to work on the 85 Camaro that we just did a video on, where we made this set of headers that you can see on the car, and we're going to try and get it running for the first time with the 6-liter that is now installed in it. So things we gotta finish up yet are we need to get the injectors and fuel rails installed, and we need to plumb up the fuel pressure regulator since we were using the internal one on the previous setup. And then I need to prime the engine with oil and get the tune ready, and then
your head's cut off.
oh, my head's cut off. Uh-oh. Alright, is that better?
Oh, stand back there.
Alright.
7 are watching.
Yep. Apparently my head was cut off. There, now you can see me. Okay. Sorry guys, you were listening to a headless guy there for a moment. Don't know who that was. So, okay, let's bring up the chat. See if any. Okay. Mad Mod Garage has nice wheels. Yep, we like our aluminum slots. They're a lot of fun.
We're out of luck. Everything's the next size bigger.
Okay. I'm sure we got stuff. You can look in the fuel pressure regulator box.
Oh, where's that?
Okay. So for injectors, we're going to install some Siemens Deca 80-pound injectors. And the reason we're going with that is I'd like to do some experimenting with injector phasing, and I want to see if a large injector like this actually makes a difference to the what kind of horsepower you pick up with injector phasing. So I want as big of an injector as I can get, so that it's spraying for as little as possible, and I want to see if you time it around the intake valve opening. Does that improve your distribution and therefore improve the amount of horsepower you're going to make? 80-pound injectors are like a lot bigger than what you need for the amount of power this thing's going to make. So that's probably about triple the size of what you need. Especially because 80 pounds is rated at a lower fuel pressure than what we're going to run. Yeah, this thing still has the same fuel system as when it was boosted. So it has way more fuel pump than what we need. And we're gonna change out the injectors. There you go. Can people hear us?
There's 11 watching.
Yep, I see that, but I'm curious if they can actually hear us.
Yes, they can hear us.
Okay, good.
Where'd the regulator go?
It's right there.
It's not a wheel.
So, gotta figure out which hole I gotta use for my fuel rail bracket. Looks like it is the top hole. Okay. This is our first time running a sheet metal intake like this as well, so it'll be interesting to see. I mean, based on some testing that Richard Holdner did, this intake over a truck intake is like 40 horsepower, and over an LS6 intake, it's like 30 horsepower. It may actually be more than, even more than that with comparing it against the truck intake. Somebody from Alberta tuning in.
Nice.
I bet it's cold up there today. Yep, got somebody from Ontario.
Nice.
Thanks for tuning in, guys. We've had these injectors for like, what, 5 years?
There's 2 people from Alberta.
We got those. Are those the ones we got from Dan?
No, we went to Maryland, I think.
Oh,
Yeah,
yeah. The guy with the Mustang.
yep.
Alright. Which one's the return?
Okay, the bottom is the return.
Okay.
So you can just run a dash 6 from here to that.
Yeah, I already
Yep.
got it.
Okay.
I'm assuming it's gonna go in this.
And then I have, see that box that all has PTFE stuff.
I've got a ways to go yet. I can't do really
Yeah, I
anything
know.
until the.
Get as fast as I can.
You're fine. Okay, so I need tape and a gauge.
From Panama, the country, not the city.
Wow, that's the first time.
Yeah, Panama. That's cool.
That's Ruby's a subscriber and a regular viewer. Alright, what happened to the yellow roll of tape?
Oh. I'll get this side done first so that Dad can work on getting the regulator plumbed.
Rodrigo Garcia says no power adder on this one.
No, we'll put nitrous on it someday, but yeah, as for now, NA. Nitrous assist, I mean, what? Why don't you plug it in? Okay, turbo stuff came off really good. Yes, it would.
Would look really good on this turbo.
On this Tahoe.
Or
Oh,
Tahoe. I mean Tahoe. Whoops.
Yep. Where's those, yeah, those go in the front. Yep. If it'll fit. It won't fit a 90, will it? Yeah, it will.
Rodrigo Garcia says the nitrous control on the Terminator is pretty cool. Used it a couple of times and it worked awesome.
Nitrous, oh. Well, we're running a gold box on this one, so. Ugh. Yeah, we got enough fuel system for a nitrous system. We're definitely going to try that out at some point. Yeah. You got to put it on with the rail. I think so. Let's click down. Let's click. This isn't gonna work. There's not enough room. Get the alternator off and let's just get this thing fired up. Or I could we could cap that. And deadhead it? Deadhead this one. And then it's gonna suck. That won't work. What do you think about this?
Michael Blacktree says, I'm sure they have a use for those turbo parts.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Bert Pfizer said, I heard Calvin say that the stock ECM from the 4200 is not suited for turbo. What limitations of the ECM make you make that statement?
So, yeah, there's a lot behind that. So, hang on a second. Alright, so why I don't like the stock ECM with the 4200. So there's a couple of reasons. So if you're talking about a E67, which only came on the 2007 or 2008 and 2009 engines, that one's decent. You know, that's the only one I would really even take a swing at. And that's because you can actually rescale your fuel table to accept a 2.5 bar map, and it's a lot more like tuning with a aftermarket ECU. You know, we've done a lot of stock ECU stuff, and you want to get this? Okay, we've done a lot of stock ECM tuning stuff. It's a nightmare on literally everything. You're always making compromises. You're always, chasing down issues. It's not designed to do what you're doing with it. You know, as Matt Happel says, the stock ECMs are emissions control devices, and the byproduct is horsepower. So if your goal is to make horsepower, they're not great at doing that. You're constantly having to trick them into doing what you want them to, and basically you're like zeroing out tables to disable certain functions, and you're
There's too many tables that cross over,
right,
and you can't cancel everything out.
Yeah, there's like 15 tables to do one thing, and it's hard to figure out where an issue may be coming from, because a lot of the factory tunes use different features totally at random. You know, you look at a tune for a 2002 Trailblazer, and it may be totally different than the next tune that you see. There's just no rhyme or reason to it. It's just overall a nightmare. So the only way you can get the P10 the P12 EC, the P10's completely out. You can't do anything with that. The only way you can get the P12 to work is if you use your mass airflow sensor to basically look at the additional. Try not to drop them and damage them. Okay. Yeah, the P12 ECU, the only way to make it work is if you use the mass airflow sensor to give you enrichment in boost. And that's generally just a hard thing to do, because you're having to, part of what you need to do when you run boost is you need to retard the timing as you run more boost, and you need to retard the timing at your lower torque areas of the engine. So doing that with a stock ECU is not super straightforward, because you have to use something called cylinder air mass. And, ideally you would have a table that has manifold pressure on the y-axis and engine RPM on the x-axis, and as you make more boost, you retard the timing more, and as the RPMs get past your peak torque, you would give it a little bit more timing. With a aftermarket ECU, you literally just, you type all that stuff in and it works. Whereas in a stock ECU, their spark cables are in the units of cylinder air mass on the y-axis and RPM on the x-axis. I don't know what cylinder air mass is. I don't know how you correlate that to boost, and basically what you have to do is you have to give it a shot. You have to get it into boost and see what cylinder air mass does when you go to a particular boost. So that's the only way you can make the timing do what you need it to do. And I'm just not a big fan of it. You're constantly chasing your tail, because when you make a change to your fueling, it changes that cylinder air mass table as well. say you were super lean, you throw a bunch of fuel at it. Now you're going to be higher up in your cylinder air mass table based on that fueling change, and you're having to lie about your injector size so that you can get it to stay in resolution on your cylinder air mass table, because you can run off the end of it. And if you run off the end of it, you're going to be running the same timing as the final value at anywhere past there. And it's just stupid. It's not the way I like to tune. You can make it work, 100%. You can make it work, but you're dealing with much greater potential for catastrophe. You're dealing with having to play games with the ECU rather than just having it do what you want it to do. So for those reasons, I don't like tuning with it whenever I can avoid it. Recently we helped a friend out. He had a 455 Oldsmobile with LS1 24X electronics put on it, and it had a supercharger on it. It was a nightmare. If you have ever messed with a blower engine, it wants all the fuel, and all the stock ECU wants to do is put in as little fuel as possible so that it makes as little emissions as possible. And after that experience, I've kind of been like, never again. It's So yeah, to summarize my thoughts, you can make it work. You're gonna work harder, a whole lot harder, and you're gonna have an inferior product because you're not gonna have things like boost cut, where say you botch your wastegate line melts, and your turbo makes 30 pounds of boost. Stock ECU is going to be like, you got it, boss, and just keep going. And you can set up an aftermarket ECU to say, no, stop, that's bad, you're going to blow it up. And there's just so many other advantages to an aftermarket standalone, just all the traction control and all the other things you can do with it. I'm to the point, like, never again. It's, I say that, and maybe I'll mess with an E67 someday, but at this point, I'd really like to avoid it. Okay, did you get them?
They're drawn down,
Okay.
they're not tight.
These are not tight either. So.
Right, I didn't want to do that until we get closer.
Yep. Okay.
I think we should just pull the alternator for now, finalize the fuel system, and then we'll change the alternator.
That's fine.
Jaquez Brian says, I just received a 2004 Trailblazer. What should I do first?
What's your goal? What do you want to do? If it was mine, I'd take it out of that and put it in something cool, but
That's mean.
yeah, well, Trailblazers, they can be cool. They're a nightmare to work on.
They're heavy.
Well, yeah, they're heavy too. They're stupid heavy. We were actually looking at doing a hot rodded Trailblazer, and that was like the big killer. It was like this thing, like without a transmission and no driver, is 4,400 pounds. It's like, how do you overcome that?
If his goal is just four-wheeling and pulling a trailer.
Right. Yeah. If your goal is just to, do burnouts and go, up a trail and that kind of thing, then, sounds perfect. But for the kind of stuff we like to do, it's not great.
Bert Beiser says, thank you for that explanation. That made it very clear for me.
Yep.
And then Lane Lemon, have you ever used a blown-through carb on a 4200?
We have not used a blow-through carb. We've never done a blow-through carb on anything, so I'm not going to say we won't do it, because who knows, but EFI is really nice for a lot of things. We're definitely going to do some more carbureted stuff in the future. I mean, if we ever do, if my dad ever wants to do a 4200 in land speed racing for like a classic category, they require you to have a carburetor, so that would probably be the only way we would actually do a carburetor on a 4200.
And Michael Blacktree says, I'm dealing with that right now. For example, the stock ECU in my BMW has maps for stuff like catalysts, preheating, smog pump, airflow, etc. It even has a tuning table for the flap and the muffler.
Yep.
Yes. Do you have? Can we get a F-body alternator down there
Yes.
with all the rest of these accessories, and clear the steering box?
Let me look at it. Just a second here.
And then Bert Beiser says, he says, I love my Trailblazer with the right stance, etc. They can look really cool.
Yes, they do.
Yep.
Agree on the weight thing, and yes, they are a pain to work on.
Yep.
Yeah, when we went to LS Fest 2 years ago, and we got to see the aftermarket support for the Trailblazers, we were very impressed. There is a strong following, and some of those guys have those things really tricked out. They just look fantastic.
Yeah, there was one with all carbon fiber doors. It was amazing.
What's WD-40 FT?
No, he's saying WD-40 for the win.
Oh, for
Because
the
I'm
win.
using WD-40. Okay.
Okay, Bert Beiser says, I'm...
Hold on.
Oh,
If we move this, we need these 2 bolts.
It's gonna be close. Let's give it a shot. Alright, we're looking at possibly relocating our alternator because it gets into the fuel rails. If you guys have ever run
Accessories.
yeah, if you've ever run truck accessories or a truck intake, with, yeah, you'll know what we're dealing with right now because the fuel rails go like right into the back of the alternator, and it's just no fun. So,
Yeah, Bert Beiser says, I'm toying with the idea to drop a 4200 in my 1971 Cutlass S.
Nice.
yeah, that would be cool.
And FTW means for the win.
Yes, yes.
Sorry, I didn't know that.
It's okay.
I was trying to figure it out.
Pull this off first. I'll get it. Thank you.
Yep. Yeah, I wish Trailblazers were a little lighter. They just.
Do we have a layout button? No, it doesn't matter.
Rodrigo Garcia wants to know, how's that expansion tank plumbed up?
Right off the water pump and right into the radiator. And
Yep.
then the leader, the steam holes come up into a port in the back, and then we actually have a old-fashioned temperature gauge hooked up in the lower portion.
A mechanical gauge, just for,
Because dear old dad likes gauges.
Yeah, well, at some point this car will probably get a digital dash, but it's still nice to have mechanical gauges for when that stuff decides to stop working.
And Jaquez Bryant says, so, 04 Trailblazer for first upgrade is intake? Question mark.
Is he going to turbocharge it?
Yeah, I mean, do you want to turbo it? Do you want to, what's the goal? You want to get a little more power? Like,
With a turbo, we've gone over 800 horsepower with a stock intake.
yep. Yeah, and he may be like a cold air intake.
Gotcha.
And then, Jose Castillo Jr., says, what power are you looking for going NA? going naturally aspirated.
Yes.
Anything over 400 at the tire is going to be good, but we'd love to be up in the 450 range. Ultimately, we want to get this car as close to a 10.0 as possible and make it run like a bracket car. So the goal is to be very consistent at that ET level. We're not going for ultimate performance. If you saw this morning's video, this car's run 934 at 144 miles an hour with the engine that we just pulled out of it. And that engine will be back. It'll be back in something, but we've got a whole bunch of turbocharged cars here, and this one we want to take on a trip and do a drag and drive and run it in the Street Machine Eliminator class, and that is limited to a 10-second quarter mile. So the goal is to get something that gets us close to or a little bit faster, and then just slow the car down and work on the consistency.
Was Brian, with the intake question, says more power but street legal is his goal.
Okay. More power, but street legal.
Cold
Okay.
air.
Yeah, cold air intake's not a bad start. I mean, if you don't want to turbo it, then it's kind of hard to make power. Headers don't really make a difference, as Richard Holdner has proven. Do you know where that one? There it is.
Yeah, I got that one
Yeah.
because it's longer.
Yep.
The other one is back in the rack.
Yeah, a header doesn't really make a difference on the 4200.
It's got a very good exhaust manifold.
Yeah, it has a good exhaust manifold, so there's not really a whole lot of improvement that can be made there. Yeah, Richard Holdner, I think he may have actually lost power when he put his header on. His header wasn't the best arrangement. You know, maybe there's a tiny bit of power there, but yeah, I would say, yeah, cold air intake's probably a good place to start. But, you know, turbos are the easiest way, I would say, to make power. I'm actually working with Joey Fowler of Fowler Speed and Performance to develop a turbo manifold for the Trailblazer chassis. Obviously, the goal will be to fit other chassis as well, but you know, for now we're trying to get it to work on the Trailblazer chassis just because you know, that's the easiest for people to attain. So
He says he wants to turbo it as well.
okay, yeah. So that's that. Yeah. Depending on how much power you make, if you look up the Vortec 4200 wiki on Google, I have a tab in there called the Power Matrix, which tells you what upgrades I recommend for the amount of power that you want to make. So that would be a good place to look. You know, it has turbo size recommendations and that sort of thing on there. So, yep.
Bernard B says suspension on the TB LOL mine's a mess at high speed. Or maybe he means a mess. Does he mean a mess or a
I
mess?
think he means a mess.
A mess?
I mean, it could be a mess as well. He basically means the same thing.
Okay.
Yeah, I've never driven a Trailblazer at high speed, so gonna have to take your word for that.
John Frostbite says, I love good headers.
Yep.
Then Rodrigo Garcia, he says, Jaquez, look for somebody that integrates a Terminator X Max ECU.
Yeah, the Terminator doesn't work on the 4200, unfortunately. The VVT will not work, and I recommend you retain that if you can. But the other part is that most of them have a trigger wheel that they do not support. So, I mean, obviously you can make it work with external trigger wheels, but it does not work out of the box.
There was a fitting screwed in the cross of the pipe that goes in here. Do you have that? Okay. There's an alternator that's smaller, I thought, that we used on a previous project that fits the fuel system.
Oh,
Remember?
I can look.
Hold on. WD.
Alright, getting the fuel system sorted out. So I am going to, unless you need my help, you probably need me to go find an order.
Well, we have 33 people watching.
Yeah.
You don't have to right now. Let's just get it going and we'll
Okay.
make
I think
everything.
this is the small alternator.
That looks like the big one.
Yeah, the big one's bigger. I know that.
Okay.
Rodrigo Garcia says, he's asking, do you guys have any recommendations from who to get pulled engines?
We don't really have a guy. We just look on Facebook Marketplace, and you can usually find them pretty cheap, already pulled. So, yeah. Sorry.
Hang on, that's not tight. The O-ring on fittings, do you?
Yeah, those gotta get tightened.
Any more questions, keep them coming.
There we go. Okay.
Are you gonna tighten down the fuel rails then?
I can.
Or what order do you do?
I-
Do you back all the bolts out, put all the anchors down and then put the bolts back in?
I mean, everything's loose, so I don't really have a procedure. I just tighten everything up. I don't know.
The boogeyman says, I just replaced my whole front end and body mounts and some of the rear ends on my 07 Trailblazer smooth.
Okay. Cool.
Electrical tape?
Trailblazer after 150,000 miles suspension wear out.
Yeah. Well, I think anything's gonna wear out after that many miles. Yeah, the highest I've seen is 300,000.
He says he's gotta replace every part if it needs to be fixed on TB. What's that?
Trailblazer.
Oh, Trailblazer. Thumbs up.
Mm-hmm. Alright, so
the aluminum adjustable go? Just had it. Here it is.
TSKRAJ asked, why did GM stop making the Vortec 4200? And it seems like it was a very reliable engine.
The only plant that made the 4200 closed. The Tonawanda plant, I believe it was.
Yes.
And that is why the 4200 stopped production. They made the 4 and the 5 cylinder in another plant, and that's why they went until I think 2014. So.
Yep. 5 more years.
That's why it got canned.
Where's all the stuff from Monkey Fab?
What stuff?
The hose fittings and whatnot.
That's all the well-known stuff.
Okay, but we got a box of
Well,
hose and whatnot.
Bert Visor says,
Fittings.
I don't think we have anything in -8 or -6, which I would use that stuff.
There it is.
That's not.
well, Bert Visor says that his Trailblazer died at 266,000 miles. Transmission failed, still didn't use a drop of oil.
Yep.
Yep. The Trailblazer life.
Always the transmission.
Shadow Ops Shadow Ops Airman 1 says, I almost missed it.
Is this the live stream?
I think that's what he's
Oh,
talking
okay.
about. He's like, I almost missed it.
We're still gonna be streaming for a while now, so.
Alright, I'm gonna have to go get -8 out of the trailer.
There's -8 right there.
And Lane Loman says, is this the first time your goal is a slower car? Smiley face.
That is not the norm.
Yep.
And Shadow Ops Airman 1 says, what oil pressure sensor do you use?
The factory, either I'll use the factory GM stuff, or I'll use low dollar motorsport stuff. Depends what I'm working on. Like on this car, it has the factory oil pressure sensor in the factory location.
And the Boogeyman says his transmission fluid on the Trailblazer had to be flashed every 3
Flushed.
years. Oh, flushed. Yeah. Flushed every 3 years. Transmission pump too.
Yep. I don't doubt it.
He used CarQuest oil pressure switch. Thumbs up. Shadow Ops Airman 1 says, or asks, what motorsports stuff?
Low dollar motorsports.
Oh, he didn't hear it.
Yep, low dollar motorsports. It's low. I don't think I need to spell it. Low dollar motorsports. Okay, is this one tight? Yes, okay. Alright, I'm gonna work on the oil. So.
And Old Geezer comments, watching a father and son working together so well is a wonderful thing. You have an awesome family.
Yep, thanks.
The Boogeyman says, can't just drive with same fluid for a long period of time on the Trailblazer.
Yep.
Bernie B
Oh,
agreed with me.
Before you tighten up the
old
fuel
piece
rod, the bleeder on the back right is leaking.
Thanks.
The steam plug.
Yeah, I already tightened it up, so.
Well, it was leaking.
Okay, well, there's no obstruction there, so I can just tighten that up.
Oh, my knees.
We tell them what we got for the car the other day, yesterday.
Oh,
Yeah, we went to a flea market yesterday.
I sent you a list if you want it. Are you looking at my phone?
No, this is my phone.
Okay.
Yeah, I was gonna say,
Yours is
just tell
on,
them about that
yours
cable.
is on top of
Okay.
it.
Alright, black tape is there. We went to a flea market yesterday and we picked up, you guys aren't gonna believe this, we picked up a
Brand new.
brand new tubular K member with the A-arms for this car for $30. The guy had no idea what it was.
I thought it was for a BMW.
Yeah, he thought it was for a BMW or a Porsche or something, and he's like, just get this piece of crap out of here. And I was pretty sure it was for a third gen, and then I looked it up, and I'm like, that's a third gen Camaro, and yeah, we picked up an entire tubular K member, brand new, for $30. Probably bought out a speed shop or something. He just wanted it gone.
Jose says, wow, that's a steal.
Yeah.
No, we paid cash for it.
Well, Shadow Luke says, or
Ops.
sorry. Says
Sorry,
nice.
Shadow Ops. My mom keeps messing up your name.
Because she refuses to wear her reading glasses.
No, I can read it. I just
No, I can read it.
I mix up my words sometimes.
Shadow Oops.
Shadow, oops.
Shadow Ops.
Yeah, that'll work. It's just,
That looks good. That looks really
Nobody mentioned 4x4 and 275 horsepower on the Trailblazer, says the boogeyman. Because he said 4x4 is good on the Trailblazer too.
Okay. I'll take your word for it. Do you have a page for technical questions relating to the Trailblazer with the Atlas?
I'm just getting to it.
Okay. Yeah, Shadow Ops, you can just send me an email at, my email's nivlac5700 at gmail.com. Basically the YouTube channel name and then 2 zeros at gmail.com. Feel free to ask whatever there, but I also have a Vortec 4200 wiki. Just Google it. It's like one of the first couple links. And I've tried to put everything that we've learned on there. So obviously nobody's perfect. So there's probably stuff I've missed. So if it's not there, feel free to send me an email. Yeah, I'm gonna go get the oil thing.
Bernard B says the center of gravity needs to be lowered and pushed forward to be competitive.
I just don't like it.
The boogeyman says, you guys are working on Sunday. Awesome. More muscle.
Well, we work on our own stuff on weekends, on Sunday after service. We work on our customers' vehicles Monday to Saturday, and this is what we do for our enjoyment. So we're very grateful for the blessings and the provisions the Lord has provided. And one of them is a nice warm garage on a cold winter day.
It's spring. we go to church too. On Sunday. Calvin Shadow Up says, thank you so much.
Yeah, no problem.
And he says, yeah, I'm in a puzzle problem with it, LOL.
Okay. Send me an email. Alright, if you guys don't have one of these, and you do lots of engine builds and stuff, these are great. Basically, it's just a little pressure pot. You fill it full of oil. There's a pickup tube that goes to the bottom, and you basically pressurize the top, and it pushes the oil up into this tube, and it pressurizes your engine. For engines, like a small block Chevy, you can get access to the oil pump, and you don't have to have something like this, because you can just literally just hook up a socket to the oil pump and just prime the engine that way. But for fresh engine builds like this, we like to prime the engine because we want to fill all the passageways with oil and make sure that the first time we hit the key, it has oil pressure. I don't know if we've ever had an issue directly related to not priming the engine, but we've spun cam bearings and done some pretty disappointing things on our first startups, and who knows if that was related to not priming the engine, but
That was junkyard.
yeah, that was probably just junkyard issues. But yeah, it's that extra bit of insurance to make sure that the first startup goes well.
Bert Pfizer says, do you know Jeremy from Lime Swap?
I do.
He does 4200 stuff too, or used to.
Yep. Yeah, I'm familiar with him. I
I
know.
just got a gas bill, so.
Okay. Yeah, I don't know if I've ever talked with Jeremy, but I am familiar with him. He did the Supra, I think, the Gen 3 Supra, the Mark 3 Supra, and that was definitely an inspiration for me before we did a 4200. But yeah, I may have messaged back and forth with him before, but I don't recall off the top of my head. I've definitely had a lot more interaction with Mark from M-Tech Motorsports. Yeah, he's kind of like the old keeper of knowledge for, there used to be a forum for the Vortec 4200, and he's kind of like the keeper of knowledge from everything off there.
And Kermit Standbox asks, what are the cam specs for the motor?
For this motor, it is a sloppy stage 2, so it's 585, 585, 228, 230 on a 112 lobe separation with 4 degrees of advance. And yes, I know that off the top of my head.
And Shadow Ops Airman 1 says, it's sad the aftermarket for the Vortec 4200 Atlas 4300 Gen 1/2SB short box Buick Series 2/3 3800 is not there.
Yeah, I mean the Gen 143, at least it interchanges a little bit with the small block. But yeah, I know what you mean. I mean we're working on trying to get a little bit of aftermarket for the 4200. As I mentioned earlier, we've been working with Joey Fowler of Fowler Speed and Performance to develop a turbo manifold. So,
Talk about all of them.
what's that?
You want to talk about everybody here?
Don M.
Ooh.
Did you
can't
take the
talk
5.3
about
out?
Okay.
Did you take?
Yeah, we took the 5.3 out of this car. It had a 5.3 and S475 with a sloppy stage 1 cam and truck heads and a truck intake. And we are now putting a 6-liter. It's basically an LS2. It has 243 heads that have been ported, but it has dish pistons, so that makes it a little different than an LS2. And it has a sloppy stage 2 and a sheet metal intake. So, yep.
Basically an aluminum LQ4.
Yeah, it's an aluminum LQ4 with LS2 heads and a sloppy stage 2. Okay.
B. Bakers asks, any chance on sharing info on the 4200 intake fab stuff, like the runner pressure blocks or the flange blueprint? I would love to recreate that for myself.
The flanges.
Hold on. You're measuring the amount of oil? Okay.
The flange dimensions are, I think they're on the wiki. It's that or they're on the Facebook page. I may have posted them on the wiki as well. I can't remember. So that's there. Actually, I say that, but the flange drawing for the intake on the Facebook page is wrong. There's a bolt. The front bolt hole doesn't line up. So. Yeah. I have a corrected drawing that I should probably post somewhere. And then the blueprint for, I assume you're talking about my my press die blueprint. I don't have that posted anywhere. I may actually try to sell them if there's enough interest. The problem is they take a lot of plastic to print, so they might be kind of expensive. But yeah, I need to get onto that. So, yeah, I'll put that on my list of stuff to do.
Shadow Ops says, ever thought of Truck North? LOL. You know, Truck North?
No, there's a cam called the Truck Norris cam.
Oh, okay.
So that's what he's talking about.
I was
It's okay,
thinking
Mom.
of the actor.
Yeah, you're thinking Chuck
Chuck
Norris,
Norris.
not Truck Norris.
Yeah, Chuck Norris.
I actually know like nothing about the Truck Norris cam. I've heard people talking about it recently. I kind of checked out of the LS community there for a little bit and haven't really been following the latest developments. So,
Too small for what we do.
is the Truck Norris?
Yeah, it's a truck cam.
Okay, what are the specs? Is it small by small?
Well, it's like a little bit bigger than a stage 1 and smaller than a stage 2, but it's a dual pattern design that, you know, it's a good design cam, but not for anything we're doing, because in the future, when we start doing the next series of LS stuffs, we've got another NA project planned, but our next one, you know, it's going to be, what is that, Summit Stage 3? Stage 2. Summit Stage 2, that'll be on our 4.8 for the land speed car. And then the next engine to go in the Nova, it's going to be a very big turbo cam. We're gonna make some serious power with that next engine. If we don't put a big block in it, we're gonna have a monster LS in it.
Yep.
So those cams, you know, they're good cams. It's just not where we're at.
Yep. I've been doing 4200 stuff. I haven't been paying attention. of people talking about it.
Yep.
And John M., the answer to your question is no, I am not an engineer, but I love working on engines, wrenching,
Doing burnout.
I like when they work on my truck or help me figure out something like my.
Well, she likes working on like making stuff. Like Cameron and my brother and her made the island for her kitchen, so she likes doing like small projects like that and stuff.
But I did work on my Ford Escape.
Mm-hmm.
The lift gate kept on
It wouldn't
failing,
open. Yeah.
especially when it was hot. So I got a
Yeah,
actuator.
Some guy came into your work and said it was going to cost what $900 to repair, and Mom fixed it in a couple minutes with
$178 part.
yeah.
Yeah, just needed a new actuator. I looked it up and they said a new solenoid, that's right. But it actually was the actuator. So I'm hoping this summer it works.
Alright, I'm gonna take this long to that side to keep the clutter away from there, because this is gonna be a little more cluttered, plus it's after all the use, so the pressure drop will be in the labyrinth of this. So, if you wonder what I'm doing, it's just gonna be cleaner and more efficient doing it that way.
Okay.
And Shadow Op says Richard Holdner had been testing Just Thought for racing/boost.
Been testing what?
The truck motors, I think he's talking about. The truck motors.
I don't think he does anything for racing.
Oh. Well, I mean, horsepower is horsepower.
Yeah, but
And Bert Visors says you also made an adapter plate for a 4200 to TH4. What's TH4? Turbo 400.
Yeah,
If I remember correctly, plans to be maybe produce those plates.
So, yes, we did. But frankly, the one that MTech sells, I can't come close to that price. It's not even worth investigating. For $165 plus shipping, you can get one from him, and I don't know how he makes them so cheap, honestly. So I would recommend you go buy one from him. But yeah, there are plans on the 4200 wiki for making your own if you would like. All the bolt patterns and dimensions and whatever. So feel free to use that if you're the kind of person that likes to do everything themselves. But the one from MTech is just too cheap. I mean, I don't know how you can compete with that.
where's the loppers?
Shadow Op says, oh nice, my 07 classic bow tie has a Gen 3.5 LR for 4.8 liters.
Okay. Cool.
And John, yes, I do plan on racing my pickup truck.
Yep.
I'm hoping sometime this summer. I'm not
Yeah.
sure when.
Okay, what's the oil capacity on a Holley 302-3 oil pan? Can somebody look that up for me? I don't have my phone. Actually, I can do it back here.
Oh, Shadow Op says the truck Norris cam he was testing. Yeah.
Okay. Yep.
Yeah. So I guess we were right. Lane Lohman, could you Could you explain suspension components on that car?
What car?
I think this car.
Oh. It's actually a factory sheet metal torque arm that I modified and put spherical rod ends in the top and lower portion of it, and then we put home-built lower control arm lowering mounts, and that made the anti-squat. It's up in probably the 120 to 130% anti-squat area, and it drives the tires pretty hard into the ground.
Six quarts with filter.
With the filter.
Okay, so is that like 5.5?
Yeah, 5 3/4.
And then it says for racing use, they actually recommend you overfill.
Okay, so
racing.
Lane says you're amazing.
who's that?
Lane, you just answered his question for explain the suspension components,
Oh,
and he says you are amazing. Cool.
We did a analysis, free body diagram on the torque arm suspension, and one of the things that folks miss in basic engineering, if you take everything back to a free body diagram and look at where the stresses are, they would be surprised at how many products are made that are just flat out overkill and not needed. Long story short, by lowering the lower control arm mounting position in the back, you take so much stress off of the torque arm and put it all into the load on the lower control arm, that the sheet metal torque arm that's in the car is a very capable unit. And I had the privilege, the opportunity to work with an engineer who I admire his abilities. He is a tremendous engineer with great common sense and tremendous skills. And as we worked through the details of that thing, we could see where so many people spend $1,200, $1,500 on parts for these kind of cars that are not necessary. We went so far as to build the suspension for this, loaded this thing up fully, put a camera on the torque arm to see if there was any deflection, and at 678 horsepower, it didn't deviate, deflect, or wiggle one tiny bit. This engine obviously will make a lot less pep, but the previous package, that thing made enough snot to throw this thing into a 930, 144 mile an hour pass.
Shadow Up says, I know you were having to use a big block Chevy headers. Are the engine mounts on the LS in the same location as the small block Chevy, or were major fab mods required?
These mounts that are on here are actually just cut up pieces of angle iron that are welded right to the frame. This car, when we put it together, if you go to the channel, we had an opportunity to go to Norwalk, Ohio, and we raced Mike Finnegan. He was racing General Mayhem, and we were running our Bugzilla. And at the end of the fans versus Finnegan Freiberger portion of the event was the start of the Hoopty Challenge. So we beat General Mayhem. That's one of the videos that's on the channel. And when that part of the competition finished, we came around for the Hoopty Challenge. And long story short, they said that
Freiberger handled this very well. I really enjoyed it because it was a chess move that couldn't be beat. He acknowledged the fact that he knew that we built the car for under $3,000, but for us to race in that part of the event, Finnegan and he decided that we would have to sell Bugzilla for $3,000, and we didn't want to give the car up. The car was built during a very challenging time in our lives, and so there was some emotional connection to it. So on our trip home, we made the decision that we were going to build a car that not only was built for under $3,000, but looked like it was built for by a 16-year-old. So if you look at this pigsty, all the dirt that's still on there, we made a lot of efforts to not knock any of the dirt off of this thing. And the engine that was in it was covered with crud, and it was neat to see the response of people, because they'd come up, look at this car, see the factory truck intake, and just were in absolute shock that the thing was running as fast as it was. So, taking it back to the motor mounts, when we put the turbo package together, it was all built out of the extension on the exhaust manifold was a truck manifold cut off, and a piece of black steel tubing welded to it, and there was no particular point where we put the engine other than trying to get the best fit for where the turbo and all the parts were going to fit, and that's why the aftermarket headers that we bought didn't stand a chance of fitting, because we put the engine where the turbo fit best instead of where the engine fit best. So then when the big block headers were being placed, I just placed them where they had to go in the chassis, and then made the jigs to hold the header flange to match that position. Then we built the first tube on each side to make sure that everything was going to fit, took it off, and then finished the work on the bench.
And T. Schultz wants to know, what fuel injectors do you guys use on it?
On this one, I'm not sure. They're at 80-pound, but Monkey Fab has been a strong supporter. Snake Eater Performance has been a big supporter. Monkey Fab's a big supporter of us too. Mike's been great, but Snake Eater Performance is what most of our cars have in it, and then these ones we had actually bought off Craigslist, and Calvin would have to tell you what they are.
Okay, when he gets back.
Yes.
He just went out. Shadow Op says, well, LS are for sure healthy running engines.
They can be. They can also be a nightmare. It's sad that there's a lot of bad information out there. When we first got into the LS scene, we broke a lot of parts, and found out that it was the oiling systems that managing the oil in the engines was the culprit. So once we got past that, it's been a good journey since then.
Do you know Scrap Metal Sleepers? He says, hey, Andrew and Calvin.
I do not recognize that. Does he have a YouTube channel?
I don't know. Oh, maybe Calvin knows.
Just ask him on the screen.
What?
Ask him if he's got a YouTube channel.
Well, Bert Weiser, managing his oil is the oil pan design oil starvation on launch.
Yes. What we found is if you use the stock,
LS.
a stock LS F-body pan, as soon as you get faster than a 1.660 foot, the oil would run from the front of the pan to the back of the pan and starve the engine of oil. And ultimately, we modified
He does.
the pan and modified the pickup tube.
That's Aaron.
Aaron. Oh, the guy who.
The guy that came to visit us.
Yeah.
Aaron.
Sorry, Aaron. Didn't recognize the name there.
Well,
My bad.
how's it going, Aaron? I know who you are. It's okay.
Oh, T. Schultz wants to know what fuel injectors you are using on it. No.
They're Siemens Deca 80-pound injectors that we bought a number of years ago. Yeah, they're Siemens Deca 80s. That's way more than what we actually need, but we're hoping to do some experimenting with the injector phasing, and I think having a larger injector is going to reveal more results in that respect. I'm going to kind of spoil the video a little bit, but you know, those of you that tuned in live, you get a little sneak peek, I guess. Essentially what I want to do is, so a lot of people have, you know, that have done tuning notice that, hey, they have injector timing tables in a lot of ECUs, and, you know, people have messed with them, people have had mixed results, but my theory is, you know, if you have a combo that is, if you have a combo that's sized, so the injectors are sized to the amount of horsepower that you want to make, that means that when you get to the higher outputs, you're going to be close to 100% duty cycle. And when you're at 100% duty cycle, that means that those injectors are going to be firing all the time, no matter what. So by putting a much larger injector than what we need, hopefully at full noise, this thing will be around 30-40% duty cycle, and changing that point where the injector is actually firing may make much better power gains and distribution gains from getting the fuel into the combustion chamber better than, say you had a combo that was sized such that the injectors are close to 100%. So hopefully that works out, and we actually get to reveal a little secret there, and we can share it with you guys. It may do absolutely nothing, but you don't know until you try. So
Aaron, he said he's trying to repair a broken electric hoist. Gotta get this DCT out of the attic. Listening to you guys in the background, your dad is always a great storyteller.
Yep. 40 years of racing has something to do with that. Yep.
Mm-hmm. Battle Op says, makes you wonder if there is a way to run a hybrid sump pump system.
hybrid sump pump.
Or sump. Is that sump pump?
I'm gonna scroll down. Let me read it. Hang on. What does he say? It's the very
Makes you wonder if there is a way to run a hybrid sump system.
Not sure what you mean. Maybe I missed a question and I don't have the context.
No.
Okay.
The one before
What do you
was
mean? What do you mean by sump pump?
for sure. He said, well, before he said, well, LSs are for sure healthy running engines.
Oh, it's probably about the oil system, because I told him about the F-body pan.
Oh, okay. Yeah. You mean like an accumulator or something like that? Wet
And dry sump oil system.
Gotcha. Okay. Yeah, we actually looked at doing something like that on a 4200 actually. Have a external oil pump that provided additional oiling for the engine, but guys that have tried to do that type of arrangement on stuff before, but yeah, use the factory oil pump to essentially pump into a tank, and then have a external pump that draws out of the tank, essentially having a moist sump, as I've heard that called.
Yeah, dirt track guys do it,
Okay.
and you know, we're more about simplicity.
Yeah. It's,
Why not just fix the pickup tube and make the pump sump bigger?
Right.
And we've gone that route with the 4200, and it works.
Yep. Well, if you size the sump so that it can never run out of oil in 9 seconds, then you know you're fine. All right, so I am pressurizing the pressure pot here, and it is starting to push oil into the engine. What we like to do is pull the valve cover off and actually watch the oil come up through the engine. If you guys watched the episode where we put the engine together for the 4200, you'll be familiar with this process.
You want to talk about membership?
Okay.
And t-shirts.
Yeah. So, all right, this is gonna be awkward.
The boy's about to squirm.
Yeah. Okay. Okay, I don't know how to say it other than just to say it. We're going to start doing memberships on this channel. We're not going to take any features away from the people that are already subscribed. Obviously, if you guys notice, there is now a join button next to the subscribe button. I want to turn this into something that makes a little bit more money for us. So
We want to take this to the next level.
Right.
We're starting to go to races that cost quite a bit to enter. They're $500 entry fees. The travel costs are significant. And for us to make everything go up to the next level, asking for the help is where that is coming from. And I know Junior's getting a little awkward here on you, but the bottom line is that, you know, we're really excited about the things that are out in front of us.
Yep.
We can't give details on all of the different vendors that we've had communication with, but there are some folks that are interested in developing some products. We had some very good communications with folks at PRI, and you know, in order for us to get to run 200, which we're hoping to do in the future with the one Camaro, that the entry fee just to get into the event is almost $600. Midwest Drags is $500. We want to run the no name nationals. Their entry fee is low, but it costs $2,000 just in fuel to get back and forth. So, you know, as we talked about it, we have been footing the bill on this ourselves the whole time, but thought the next logical step in the progression of the channel is to have the membership start.
Yeah, we're by no means trying to put a paywall to our videos, you know, making it so you have to pay to see our videos. We're just going to try to provide additional content that maybe would make you want to pay us a monthly subscription to, you know, provide additional content that we don't normally provide. So.
Some live streams from the track. Some,
yeah,
you know, there's
updates on behind the scenes stuff. You know, it's this stuff isn't free to do, and I always it's awkward to ask people to pay. You know, just send donations and stuff, but it would really help us out, and I hope you guys get a lot of value out of the stuff that we have provided, but. Yeah.
Well, Bert Weiser says, don't be shy about asking for that, Calvin.
Yep.
You guys are giving out a ton of very valuable information.
Yep. Well, it's some people get weird about that.
And back to what we were talking about before, Shadow Ops says, good deal. Yeah, that pickup tube is a little small. Replaced orange packing with red last year. not sure how to.
Got oil coming out of this one, and, oh, just that one.
Okay.
get here.
It's also. What was that?
Shadow ups, here. Michael
I'm not sure what that means.
Michael Blacktree says, it's all good. Lots of YouTube channels have memberships, patron accounts, etc.
Yep. Yeah. Well, it's consider becoming a member. That's all I can say. I mean, it's
Calvin feels very awkward about it, as you can tell.
yeah.
So let's get.
But we're also looking at making T-shirts as well, so that may be another way that you can support the channel and actually get something in return for your support. So look forward to those soon. We're getting close to something that we can provide for you guys there. So
Blue Lightning says, I finished an LS swapping 06 Trailblazer right before your videos really took off, and the 4200 in general on that note. Might be undoing my swap once I blow this engine up.
I'll tell you what, the Trailblazer oil pan is not a good design for that LS. You've got to be very mindful and don't hesitate to overfill that thing to keep it alive.
all right, we got our first member.
No, no kidding.
Oh, geezer.
Old geezer, you're our first member. Thanks for becoming a member. All right, that'll be easy to remember.
Hey, are you suggesting something?
Thank you.
And Tulo Co 16, he says, do some research. Most of the stuff that you do that can be qualified as for the channel, parts, travel fees, entry fees at events, video gear, and more can be written off on your taxes.
Taking full advantage of that.
First time.
Yep.
You can make some dollars like that.
Yep. Yeah, thank you. We're certainly taking advantage of that. Yep.
Michael Blacktree says, Dad can be the salesman then.
Yep.
And Aaron.
Looks like Aaron's our second.
Aaron's
second.
our second.
Thank
member.
you.
Thank you.
Blue Lightning, he says, I did baffle it and use an extra cord.
Okay. That'll help.
Thanks, Aaron.
Is it still four-wheel drive? And if it's not, did you take the crossover tube out?
Aaron says, if it supports you guys chasing your dreams, I'm in.
Thanks, Aaron. I appreciate that.
There's a small crescent wrench. I can't find it.
Like what?
About 5-6 inches long.
Blue Lightning says, yes, sir. 4-wheel drive. Wisconsin winters are brutal.
That's a tough place to be. Are you near Grand Rapids?
This thing starts gurgling. I want to go grab a socket.
Yep. It's a yellow valve, isn't it?
Yep.
Okay.
I like to rotate the engine over while we're priming it, just to help the oil to move around. Alright, I got another small gas spill here. Woo, I can tell you what, that ethanol is heating up some, tearing it up. It'll be like that. Oh, we got another,
Fertilizer is our third member.
hey,
Thank
thank
you.
you.
Alright.
Michael Black's tree says, I used to live in Michigan, came to Florida to get away from the sub-zero
Yeah.
temperatures.
I can appreciate that.
It's a brilliant move. It's not an IQ test, but it is a brilliant move.
Yeah.
These are nice packages.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Where do you get these from?
It's Amazon.
Hmm.
Yeah.
This is nice stuff.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I like it. I refuse to promote it though,
Okay.
because it's the name. I don't like the name.
Gotcha.
Fertilizer says, come on guys, 35 PPL in
People.
here.
People.
Oh, 30 guys, people in here.
Yeah.
Let's aim for 30 members.
There we go. Oh, I'm not gonna ask you guys to do that. That's ugh. I want you to feel like it, you know, it's worth it. So.
Alright, the O-rings.
And I am notorious for accidentally leaving the socket on the crankshaft, so I take it off every time. So, yeah. So,
5 times.
yep. Just that's how my brain works. Yep.
Don't look at me that way.
Yep. I'm gonna clean this.
That explains it. You cleaning that?
No, I cleaned the other one.
That dirt has gone very,
Right.
very fast. No, go ahead, clean
We were gonna put these shiny valve covers on this thing,
it.
but
hated them.
they
Oh.
Don't me.
they don't have breathers on them, and I didn't feel like welding some in, so stockers it is. We've had these valve covers sitting in the basement for 6 years.
Sit that long.
That's starting fluid.
Yes, it is.
All
Count.
right.
Well, that's pretty strong over there.
Wow, it is strong.
You're way over there.
Thanks a lot, Calvin.
Sorry, Mom.
Oh, what about me?
Sorry, Dad.
Okay, that's
All right. Starting fluid is not carb cleaner. Pro tip. Nobody light a match.
thanks. Alright. So that's all the oil.
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah, it's the half quart high is what they recommend for performance
Okay.
stuff. And it's 5.5 quarts or 6 quarts with filter. So you put half a quart, so I put 6 in here. So
And it's got a quarter in the.
okay, so maybe it'll need just a touch more.
Alright, I'm putting these away. Gonna have to build a bracket. wanna do a firewall mount on this?
I'm not supposed to. It's technically like some tracks will
Oh,
say
you don't need to, yeah. Yep.
I've ran my wagon like that for years, but nobody ever said anything, and frankly, I didn't know.
You know what? I'm half tempted to just couple this right to the line.
Okay.
Oh, we got, never mind. Bad idea. We still got coils to put on.
Yeah.
Ideally, this thing needs to be up here. But. So we're gonna screw right into the vacuum booster.
Okay. Put some Permatex on it first.
I'm gonna have to build a bracket.
Yeah.
You could weld something right to the intake.
Yeah.
Would that work?
It would sure look good. We're gonna have to weld something to the intake for the throttle linkage, aren't we?
I mean, I was gonna make a bracket, kind of like we did on the Nova.
Okay.
That comes off the throttle body.
Let's build something off the valve cover.
Okay.
I'm gonna set this all the way up here, I think. For now.
There's no more.
Okay. People are just watching.
Yeah.
Alright.
Shaking their head.
Yep. Looks like we got oil coming up through the push rods. That's a good sign. It's always good to see.
Everything inside the engine is sealed.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, next week's video is going to be a video on how we prep LS engines for horsepower. You know, what we recommend that you do and that sort of thing. I'm going to say it, we look at the cam bearings. Sorry, guys. Yeah, we actually replaced the cam bearings in this engine because
We kicked off the island.
the later cam bearings, the active fuel management engines, have a wider bearing surface, so we like to upgrade to them if the cam bearings look like they are shot. And this engine definitely had some pretty rough cam bearings.
Oh boy. Yeah.
So, you know, if the cam bearings are in good shape, we run them, but, yeah, I know, blasphemy. Yeah, we put new head gaskets on it too, so.
Because that makes nitrous.
Yeah.
There.
29 right now.
29.
Maybe people are stopping for dinner. Mexico.
Thanks for tuning in, everybody.
Going that way. Bring the Allen for that. We'll take the bracket and reverse it.
what else do we have to do to get that engine running?
Got to finish these 2 fuel lines, put the spark plugs in, put the ignition coils on, and plug that vacuum hose, and this thing is about ready.
Mm-hmm.
I say just. If somebody wants to go get popcorn, they've got time.
Shopcat Industries says, greetings all from Alberta, Canada. So
Nice.
that's a third person.
Is that third person from Alberta?
Yeah.
The second one guy was from Ontario.
No, I thought we had.
No, that was-
Maybe I was wrong.
I think that's our
Yeah, I think that's third.
Yeah, a lot of Canadians.
Yeah. We love Canadian.
Yeah, I've never been to Canada.
I've been to Toronto.
Mm.
That was a
Didn't you
really
go to Niagara?
clean. Yeah, I've been to Niagara too. But Toronto was such a clean city.
Mm.
But that was a long time ago.
Mm-hmm.
That's all right. I take you nowhere.
Mm-hmm.
Tell you nothing. Take you nowhere.
There's that.
Joe Cool.
Joe Cool.
Yes, he says added headers and aftermarket intake with new head gaskets and cam bearings. This poor LS is doomed.
Yep, it's doomed.
Well, you guys can throw it out there what you think it's going to do. We'll put it out there in a future video, but we'll start taking guesses at its performance level. Okay, the loppers.
And
To give everybody a review, it's basically a
LQ4.
LQ4 with a sloppy stage 2 cam and LS2, LS6 heads. So let's hear your horsepower guesses.
Okay, the loppers are
Look. My 357 mags, he says, I'm still here from Ontario. I'm in Guelph, which is a half an hour from Toronto.
Okay, that's what I thought. I thought we had an Ontario guy.
Well, yeah, we do, but we do have an Ontario guy. But we had 3 from Alberta, I'm pretty sure.
Turn it up. Come on. Still waiting for this thing to finally finish filling up with oil.
I can't find the loppers.
Did you have them?
Yeah. Oh. So I made the first
The
one.
lockers?
Yeah, it's green, purple.
Your turn.
Blue handle.
Blue handles.
Blue handle what?
They go like this.
Oh, those things.
Mm-hmm.
It should be over here somewhere.
There's something here.
That's
Oh,
a-
those handles. These things?
There you go.
There they are.
There you go.
Spark plugs.
Okay, Bert Visor
Waiting for this thing
says N/A, no nitro, I'm guessing 415 wheel horsepower.
That would be great.
And he says, oh wait, that's a 6-liter.
Yep.
And then Joe Poole says, I have a similar setup. I hope you get 350 horsepower to the wheels.
Hopefully we get a little more than that.
Yeah, we'll be pulling the engine if that's all it makes.
Yeah.
And then
No,
Bert,
we'll be putting nitrous on it if that's all it makes.
Bert says, I was thinking 3.5 liter, or 3.3 liter, or 5.3 liter.
You got it.
I got it.
Eventually.
Brain wasn't working.
No. 6-liter.
6 liter.
difficult to make lots of horsepower with the cathedral port heads, but hopefully the compression ratio and the camshaft will get us over 400.
Shopcat Industry says my newest project for my channel is a 1970 Han Eclipse riding mower.
What are you putting on it? Nitrous?
Is an LS overkill?
Never.
A 3500 should be enough. Stock is a 5 horsepower Briggs.
Yeah, I don't know. We saw a go-kart that was LS powered at LS Fest, so if they put it on there, it should work well on your lawnmower.
And my 357 mag says if I was to guess, I'd say around 425 at the wheels.
That would be great.
And Lee KC says how much spraying?
On this, we'll probably go as high as 100 shot, but the goal is just to run it naturally aspirated at the moment.
And TSK RAJ asks, do you ever plan on building turbos, Trailblazer sleepers?
Probably not. We were thinking about it, but they're just so heavy. They're just so heavy, and it's all right. The oil's in the engine.
The engine is growing.
Yeah. We were looking at, so I guess now that there's just no possibility of it happening, we were looking at Cletus McFarland and his Blazer that he got for LS George. We were looking to possibly build a Trailblazer using the head that he ported to go after him and try to beat him in a race. But now that they're putting the blown 427 in the thing, it's like there's no way that, like, we were thinking we were going to have to push it all the way to the edge just to get into like the nines, you know, just because of how stinking heavy they are. And yeah, so we were possibly going to do that, but after they decided on the gigantic supercharger on a 427, it was like, okay, I don't think we have any shot at that. So yeah, unfortunately, the plans to do that didn't work out. So yeah, we'll keep swapping them into other chassis, but I mean, the Trailblazers are hard to work on. They have a front sump oil pan, which is going to make it very hard to make them last. Among other things, you know, it's you really have to love the Trailblazer to want to do that, in my opinion. There's just so many other chassis that would allow for a rear sump oil pan and would allow, you know, wouldn't be so heavy, that would be a better choice, in my opinion.
Yeah, the next three transplants that we're going to do with 4200s, all of the chassis are going to receive the engines, and they'll be easy to work on. It's going to be a lot of fun to work on things that are easy to work on.
Yeah, it's when you break something, the problem, you know, once you get it together and works great, but the problem is, you know, with as hard as we're pushing them, if you have any issues and you now have to work on this thing constantly, it's just, you know, we built that front wheel drive Eagle Talon with the LS4. After that, it's like, no, we're not doing that again. I'm not killing myself to go after something that I don't really care that much about. The front wheel drive LS record. It was just like, I was killing myself to try and get that thing to perform, and it was like, why am I doing this? It's just, I don't care. It's, I wanted to set the record at something that I thought would be respectable,
And we did.
yeah, I mean, it was, I felt like it could go a lot faster, but, it was,
Nobody else was playing.
yeah, well, yeah, that front wheel drive challenge didn't really pan out to anything that, but, it's, after we did that, it was like, if we're gonna do this crazy, oddball, stuff that nobody else is doing and push it to the absolute limit, why don't we put it in something that isn't such a pain?
Even the future is a pain in the butt to work on.
Yeah. Well, that's the main reasoning behind not taking the Futura to Midwest Drags. It's just, what if anything goes wrong? Like, literally anything. It's such a pain to work on. And once it's running and driving, oh, it's fantastic. But, it's, I hope you guys can respect that. It's, yeah. A little, yeah. I almost got it. Once it's out, it can twirl back. Okay, I got it. Alright. Yeah, that blazer went insane. Like, it went from, oh, let's just do this for fun, and, just have some fun with a car for once, and, not make it so serious, to like, okay, let's make it a pro mod.
Yeah, let's go crazy.
Yeah.
Michael Black says, yeah, the Trailblazer went full race car pretty fast.
Yeah, that's, yep.
There you saw that.
Just read it, yeah. I mean, it would have been really cool to do a Trailblazer versus Blazer back when they were trying to make it, just trying to make it go nines, That would have been a really cool,
We got our fourth member.
nice.
Thank you, Brian Rowe.
Thank you, Brian. Yeah, thanks for becoming a member. I appreciate it. It's, I still need to flesh that area out a little bit, add like an intro video and that kind of stuff, so.
You guys got to hear it first.
Yeah. Yeah, you guys
Literally.
are early adopters, so yeah, that's the first time I've promoted it, or well, I don't know if I promoted it, but Dad promoted it.
Well, I saw you struggling there.
Yeah,
buddy.
I didn't know what to do, so. Thanks for joining. Thank you.
Being older, I'm a little more familiar with being hungry.
Yeah.
It probably will fit.
You better put that stuff away.
I'm gonna go get ignition coils.
Okay, so we are down to, I need to make one more line. We'll just hold that thing, ignition coils, spark plugs and wires. I can't think of anything else. You're gonna need one for number 2 cylinder. So if you see one with a 45-degree boot.
Okay, I think you could make the regular one work, just for temporary. Okay, I'm gonna go get clothes. Alright, I'll be back, guys.
Uh-oh. They're stuck with us, Paula. What dirty secrets do we tell about Calvin while he's away? I don't like
Let's see. What was Calvin's first car that he drove down the track?
First car he drove down the track?
Was it the junior dragster?
64, well, he drove a junior dragster, yes, but his first full-size car was the 64 Nova, the gold one.
Was it?
Yeah, he raced me eventually.
You didn't take any of your cars down?
No, he raced the 64 Nova.
Okay. I wasn't sure. I couldn't remember.
I do.
Bert says, perfect time to spill the beans on Calvin.
Yep. Yeah, he's a good kid. Well, we almost tolerate him.
He's a great helper.
Yep, a very talented man.
Has good ideas.
Should be a 45 right beside you.
45?
I'll get it.
Okay. Let me look. 45. Is this a 45?
That's a 90.
That's a 90. Okay, this is a 45 then.
Yeah, but is that an 8 or a 6?
I don't know.
What do you mean you don't know?
Well, it looks like a 6.
You're the mom. You know everything.
Oh, darn.
Let me see. That is a 6 and it's 45. Good job.
That's what I told you.
Yes, you did.
I told you it was a 6.
Mama knows everything. Alright. Any more questions? Come on, guys. There's got to be more questions.
What do you want to know about Calvin? Before he comes back in.
He's a good kid. Yes, he is. Yeah, I don't know about that.
Here he comes.
Alright, was everybody making fun of me while I was gone?
Because he has good parents. That's right. He has
Okay.
good parents.
I knew it. See? See? Other people can see we're good people.
Does Calvin have a day job?
Yes.
Yes. Yeah, he can't quit his day job.
Nope. Yeah, I'm a controls engineer. Yep. That's why I like the tuning stuff so much.
What is the drivetrain on the Camaro? 80 and 8.8?
It's a 6-liter and a turbo 400 and an 8.8 out of an Explorer, and it has 327 rear gears. We may switch them over now that the turbo's out. We may switch them to 355s, but that will likely be after the Midwest. We'll see how fast this car goes. If it runs consistent high 9s, we'll just leave the 327s in it and make it a little bit more streetable. If we need a little bit, an extra 10th or 2, we'll throw 355s in it. I don't think we're going to need to get. It shouldn't be too weak, so low on power that we would need 373s. What else? And there's a vacuum right here that needs addressed.
Yeah. That's
what I figured.
Yeah. Convert it to a 1 bar.
1 bar?
Yeah. Oh, atmosphere is pretty good.
You got another hose over here.
Yeah, I'm just gonna.
Yeah. Exactly.
Lee Casey wants to know how much does it weigh?
The last time we scaled the car with the turbo, it was 3310. With the iron block, it was 3420-ish. Then the we put the aluminum 5.3 in it. Hold on. Sorry for the blasting noise, folks.
Did that do anything?
And then 3310 is what it weighed with the aluminum block, and our goal is to try and get the car to 3200. So when we first run this car, we want to run 10.0s and be able to compete in the street machine eliminator, and then eventually we're going to run in a faster class at some of the drag and drive events, and the car will have to weigh 3,200 pounds, and it'll have to run a pretty healthy shot of nitrous to be competitive in those classes. What's up, Lee? Okay. Somebody's saying hi to somebody they know.
Yeah.
That's cool.
Yeah. 36 people watching.
Nice. 36 people and 4 members.
Yep.
Thanks, guys. I don't know how close. I think this is going to clear, and that's why we may have to do something creative here. Alright, I'm going to use the number 45 there and just finish this up. Uh-oh. What happened to that box of all the other things?
Here's the
Those are all 8s. Alright, I'm going to steal a 45 out of your Fairmont.
Lee Casey says gonna need 600 to 650 horsepower.
Do what?
To do what? That one right here. Yeah, we're gonna have to get creative with the bracket.
Okay.
How did you convert, Lunani 26 wants to know, how did you convert the torque arm to the 8.8?
Welded brackets right to the 8.8, and then put 2 receiving lugs into the top and bottom of the housing so that I could bring the hymen, and then off of the hymen I put a threaded sleeve that I welded into the torque arm itself with a reinforcement brace. So the thing is actually offset from the pinion, from the drive shaft, about an inch more than what the factory had it on the original 10-bolt rear. But the 8.8 rear is easy to weld to. You just preheat it a little bit and use good quality steel and good quality welding wire. Whatever size that is, we'll take that off for now. We're gonna have this done in minutes.
Okay. Go get spark plugs.
Okay.
And, after I get this last folded.
Casey says, well, Lunani says Ty Olson.
kinds of stuff today.
I
aren't you?
know. All this short lingo.
Mhm.
All these abbreviations.
Mhm.
Lee Casey says run high nines at 3,300 pounds.
Oh. Yeah, it's not going to take that much horsepower.
Hey, you wanna pull that number?
Yeah, it'll be
Yeah.
about-
The car should be around 3,200 with all the turbo stuff pulled off of it.
And Bruce Pence asks, where do your engines come from? Approximately how many do you have in total?
We've had as many as 65 sitting here, but we just sold, 16 engines 2 weeks ago?
Yep.
But right now we've probably got 40 engines on site. We pick them up everywhere. If we see anything cheap, we grab it. And we've got an old barn that we just stick it in. More questions? People are probably still in shock over 65 engines sitting here.
Yeah. You want me to order pizza?
Okay,
Yeah, I'm hungry.
I'm hungry.
Me too.
I want that chicken bacon ranch. Use daddy's son. Oh. You what?
I'm gonna use your phone.
What?
Hey, my phone's
You can use my
live
phone.
streaming, so.
I'm just teasing. You're fine. Sheesh.
Alright, we're getting pizza on the way, guys.
What flavor do you want?
What kind of pizza does everybody like?
I want chicken bacon ranch.
Mm-hmm.
You know about
That
that.
was
too.
I was asking everybody on the.
I
Yeah.
know.
I already know what you want.
I thought you want chicken pineapple.
Well, I know you guys don't like that. You don't like
Ham.
Pineapples do not belong on pizza.
Yes, they do.
No, they don't.
Who says pineapples belong on pizza?
Ooh, be careful. That was close.
Some people might think chicken doesn't belong on pizza.
No, they're wrong.
Once upon a time.
Yeah.
My favorite, Michael Blacktree says, my favorite is barbecue chicken pizza. That sounds
That's
good
pretty
too.
good.
Yeah, that's good.
Lenati 26, he says deluxe plain with pineapples. Oh, he likes pineapples.
Nope, you're wrong.
Once upon a time, my favorite was Pizza Hut's Meat Lovers. Well, we haven't been to Pizza Hut in a long time.
Yeah, I've
Yeah, we don't go
only
there
had them a
anymore.
handful of times.
It's either Domino's or Papa John's.
Is Cameron going to be home?
I have no idea.
Or is he still at Granny's house?
I have no idea.
I promise we're getting close here, guys.
Yeah.
Jim! Crickets, this stuff makes you look like a retard.
Bert says pizza, lots of cheese and garlic, plus hold the pineapple. Oh,
My guy. That's my guy.
no! I love ham and pineapple pizza.
She just loves the sugar.
Mm-hmm.
She would eat it.
Ham and pineapples go good together. James Gasper says they belong just fine.
Uh-huh. Yeah.
He's
Okay.
with me.
Yeah. Mama's getting her own fan base. Yeah. Yeah. They're not the worst thing ever, but I just prefer it without. I like pineapples, just not on pizza. How do I get the chicken bacon?
What's everybody working on at home? Anybody got a big block? Look it back in the day.
James Gas. Book it back in the day.
Come on.
73 Ventura 5.3.
Okay.
Oh, that's cool. Is that the they had the bigger bumper, but without the hydraulics, if I remember on that. Naturally aspirated.
Aspirated. You think I'd had a beer,
And the-
but
Hey, beer.
I guess
That's a
I
good
need
idea.
a beer.
No, you do not need beer.
That might help.
Nice. What transmission are you putting behind it? Paraglide. Oh, that's cool. Drag car, street car,
PG.
paraglide.
Paraglide.
Yeah, that's good training.
Okay.
K24 Honda camshafts and oil pump. Cool. Yeah, we've made friends when we were doing the the front wheel drive stuff. We got introduced to some of the guys that race Hondas, and what a great community that is. It's amazing how much friction there was years ago between the domestics and the foreign cars, and as our hobby struggles to survive its current landscape, there's been a whole lot more openness and welcomeness to all forms of cars, and it was fun. We've always had an open mind towards that, and when we got to know Ryan, he's running very low eights in his Honda. What a breath of fresh air that was for us to get to meet some of the folks in that community. And then last year we went down to World Cup and got to hang out with a bunch of folks down there. And man, that is just an incredible how much energy has been put into that. So real cool. What else? Street car, probably gonna let my dad drive it. He is 74, that's cool. Have you given thought to opening a speed shop to work on others? We have a performance shop, we're actually in that. It's a one-car garage. We're actually underneath a customer's vehicle as we speak. It's up on the lift, and we'll move everything out of the way, but we do everything from headers and engine transplants to roll cages, and it's just a small shop.
TSKRAJ says, I think an older Bronco 2 with a barrel would be pretty sweet, but a little hard to get a hold of in the States.
That's a fact. That That's a fact. Bears are very difficult to come across in the States. There are some people who are trying to be suppliers for those.
Yep.
S10 turbo, cool. Street, cool. Yep. 85 Chevy half-ton, 350, 300 crate engine. Just cleaning it up some. That's cool. Oh man, they are nice trucks. And is it a short bed or a long bed? And 350, 300 horse. That'll get you down the road pretty good. They the crate engines, they underrate them a little bit. I've had two 290 horse engines that we won at the Street Rod show years ago, and put one into a 39 Plymouth, and the other one I gave to my brother, who's going to put it in his Corvette. And I'll share a little story. So, the first time Calvin went down a racetrack was in the front seat of the 39 Plymouth with me. So we had won this thing at the drawing at the Street Rod show, and
You won the engine.
yes, dear. And we took the engine, put it in the 39 Plymouth, and took it to the Jalopy Showdown. And it just so happened that we were the very first car in line to make a pass, the very first time they ever held that event. And Calvin was just a little guy at the time, and he's sitting in the front seat next to me, and his feet didn't even get over the seat enough to hit the ground, and he's just sitting there dipping his fries and eating his fries, and we made 15 passes in a row, and it was an 8th mile event. But what I noticed is that they had the quarter-mile lights on, and I said, hey, we're going to make a full pass, and it wasn't shortly after that they turned the quarter-mile lights on, but he got to turn them off, and but he got to make his first quarter-mile pass as a passenger sitting in a 39 Plymouth with a 350 290 horse, and eating French fries, sitting on the bench seat next to his pop.
Yeah.
Boy still has nightmares about it.
Yeah, that was fun.
James Gasper says, fast is fast. I like all forms of speed.
Yep.
Codeman Road. Been going 5 miles on the treadmill watching you guys.
Good for you.
I'll keep running. Did you make it a mile yet?
5 miles.
Oh, 5 miles. Yeah.
Huh.
I don't know. Where's my brain? I don't know.
Short box, nice, fleet side, cool. Yeah, I'd love to do one of those slam to the ground and with a 4200 or not. Calvin's been a bad influence. That's all I gotta say. Alright, this is not quite nice.
When I was a teenager, I ran the mile and the 2 mile. In track.
Not me.
Mile and the 2 mile.
No thanks.
Alright. 5 miles. Are we working that slow?
Putting plugs in now, guys, so we're close.
Down to the last.
Oh, where are they delivering pizza? To our house
Yes.
or to our garage?
To our house. But it won't be for 30 minutes or so.
Oh, okay.
So hopefully we'll have this done.
Well, tell the cats to open the door for me. I hope you prepaid and
Yes.
pre-tipped.
Yeah. We'll eat it out here though.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. I just wasn't sure if you said, oh, come to the garage in the back.
Just tuned in, what specs of the engine?
It's a, basically, well, an LQ4, so a dish piston, 6 liter, with a sloppy stage 2 camshaft, and some 243 heads, so like LS2, LS6 style heads, and they've been ported.
46 says, I would love to build a 4200, but it might be beyond my ability.
Well, hopefully we can get enough of an aftermarket that it makes it more accessible to everybody. That, you know, maybe to the guys that don't have the fabrication abilities. We're doing our best. I mean, there's got to be a return on the investment. You know, there's got to be enough people out there that are willing to buy products that a company will invest and make products for it. So we're trying to generate that interest, and maybe someday you'll be able to do one.
Anthony Laterno says, cool, thank you.
Yep, no problem.
I guess that was on the,
Yeah, that's
that
specs
was on
on the engine.
specs on the engine. Stock bottom end.
Yeah, stop that.
That would be SBE speed.
SVE.
SPE. Yeah, I would have never guessed that one.
Yeah, well, that was a little.
I had to ask for help on that one too.
Well, I understand big block Chevy and small block Chevy.
You were corrupted.
By the way,
TTYL.
TMI.
There you go. You got all the important ones.
Yeah.
Check that that's tight.
We are getting close.
That is good.
This
Bracket. I dig out the map sensor and start setting up the tune at some point. Okay.
Michael Blacktree says, I'm building an E46 BMW for drag race and autocross. I need to go through the suspension, then it's turbo time.
Yay!
cubic inch multiplier.
Those.
Did you get the wire on?
Yeah.
How's it look?
It's touching, but it'll go. Alright, I'm gonna go get the map sensor. Steal the one off the LT1 intake.
Okay. Little.
Okay. I wonder what size it's gonna be. Standard or metric or what?
For what?
The LT1. Imagine it.
I'd be shocked if it wasn't.
Alright, I'm about to find out. Good old 10 millimeter.
Anthony Laterno wants to know any progress on the 4 or 5 cylinder Atlas engines?
Yes and no. On the 4-cylinder, we have started to make plans to build a project. We're going to keep it under wraps, but it's going to be shocking. No current plans on 5 cylinders yet. We're actually looking at a couple other engines right at the moment. So the 5-cylinder would ultimately be something we would circle back to. But the 4-cylinder, we've located a free engine, and we've got a 2.9 head in the well, you saw the engine being torn apart. There we go again. We tore apart the engine. Calvin tore it apart. made an oil slick. You probably enjoyed that on a frigid cold day, of course. But we got that mess cleaned up, and that head is going to go on to the 4 or 2.8 that is being given to us.
Okay.
I'm making a career out of this.
Bruce Penn says, do you anticipate this engine making more power with nitrous as opposed to the turbo?
No. The with the turbo, we made 678 on the dyno, but we know we made more than that on the track, and it was probably in the 800 range. We won't run that much nitrous through this thing. It'll probably only ever get up to high 600s, maybe the 700. We'll see how it goes and how the car responds. The nitrous is hits a lot harder, but our goal is to first do it without nitrous, and then do the nitrous at a later date. And to what level we go is it'll be determined on how fast we want to get this thing to go.
And Anthony says, cool, looking forward to that. Lenati says, seems like your rear gearing is quite low. Would a 411 be better, or are you planning for nitrous oxide?
No, we can't use 411s anymore. We've gotten to the point where we make so much power that we make so much mile an hour, and one of the things that we got to do is kill bottom end gear to get the cars to work off the line, and in addition to that, then we need it for the mile an hour. So the days of the ultra high RPM, and it was funny, just yesterday Calvin and I were talking a little bit about one of my very first cars. I had 514 rear gears in it, and it was my 56 Chevy with a 4-speed, and I dropped the clutch on that thing at wide open throttle and just thought I was being the Superman, but the days of needing that much gear are long gone. Most of the fastest cars are running anywhere from 325s to 389s for the 8th mile. As a matter of fact, the next flea market that we go to, we went to the flea market yesterday, had a real good day selling and buying, and then next time we go to the flea market, I've got everything from 630 rear gears to 514s. I think I got 3 or 4 sets of 514s that I've collected over the years that all need to go. We're going to keep one set for a gasser build that we're going to do in the future. It's a 296 cubic inch small block Chevy that is going to be a lot of fun. It'll be a 8,500 RPM engine. It's an original old DZ302 engine that has the 302 crank offset ground to a 288 stroke, and aluminum rods, 14-to-1 pistons. That thing's gonna be a hoot. We got a couple of 4-speeds that we're gonna run behind it, as depending upon what gear ratio the thing needs will dictate what first gear ratio that we have, but it'll probably be in the 220 range. I don't think we'll need to go below a 243 to make that car work, but it'll be a 51 Studebaker bullet nose and fiberglass front end, 296 cubic inch small block, and 4-speed with, it'll either take a set of the 514s or the 620s.
Michael Blacktree wants to know, will you be using a progressive nitrous controller?
We'll see what we need. These things can take a good hit. You can throw about 200 horse right into a stock engine without worrying about it. You just got to get enough of the timing out of it to do it. You really don't need the progressives until you're above 250. Yeah, I can't understate that statement. The key on the nitrous is managing your timing. You don't want to take so much timing out of the thing that you have a backfire, but you got to get that torque down so that you can get that load in. And as the fuel mix and the response of the engine comes back, you want to make your timing curve come up with it as your RPMs come up at the same time, because you want to kill your bottom end torque, but nitrous makes a ton of torque. It's a delicate balance, but you can throw 200 at a stock engine as long as you manage your timing right.
And then Ani says, I bet that audio is going to be epic.
That's gonna on the Studebaker or on the. Man, that's simple, but boy, it looks like a 10-year-old put it together. Sheesh. Bracket's gonna help that, makes it look better. Okay. Alright, that's done. I gotta do plugs, and once the plugs and the coil
He said at the high revving motor.
Yeah, oh yeah, I'm an old small block guy. I raced small blocks for years, used to run 4 speeds, and there's nothing like sidestepping a clutch at 7,500 and listening to that thing just hoot. The greatest sound in the world is listening to them come through the top end at full song, 81, 8,200, and just wide open throttle.
Michael Blacktree says, sounds like that 289 is going to be a real screamer.
Yes, sir. 296. 296 cubic inch. Alright, I'm going to leave these out. Where'd the plugs go? Got them. Down to plugs, wires, and a little bit of programming.
Well, I think these plugs are already in. This side.
Yeah, tell me how you did those.
Plugs and wires are on.
Hey, I've been making a career out of this.
I guess I should help you.
Oh, that doesn't matter. If you could grab me a 5/8 spark plug socket.
I knew what you need.
And a short extension and a 3/8 drive ratchet. Oh, it's sitting up, the ratchet's sitting up here. Oh, Calvin already got it out.
Oh, okay. Then you're all set.
Yep. I'll make it a monster mess.
Yeah.
What other questions left out loud? Is the burnout soon? I take it. We'll see. It was raining a little earlier, so I don't know about that. And we'll see how the thing responds. So when it first starts up, if we have some issues, we may not. But we also don't have the exhaust system on right now.
Renati says, Calvin must be eating all the pizza.
Oh, you better
I
not
hope
be.
not. I'm hungry.
I'm hungry too. No, he's chasing down his computer. He's got to do
You better
some
be
program changes.
You better be watching for the pizza.
Yeah. Well, you hear him turn around in the driveway.
If they come up our driveway.
You know why he did that? He gave me the hard side.
Of course he did. That's because you were over there.
Yeah.
Oh, that stuff's gonna fall off
That's,
Yeah, it just moved.
gravity doesn't work sideways.
Well, it does work. It does go down.
It's fine.
Here, I'll just take care of it. You don't need it, do you?
Yes.
Okay.
Two
We'll put it
more
here.
plugs, honey.
That's better. Place it.
What other questions the guys have?
That's it
That's it.
for now. He's laughing out loud. Oh, Manani says the only thing left is boxes of pineapples. Yeah, we need more pineapples.
Oh, you need to chill out. You're just crazy.
I'm not crazy. I'm silly, but I'm not crazy.
Yeah, okay. Prove that. Getting close, getting close. We keep saying that though. Don't lose confidence in us, guys.
Did you eat it all? They thought you ate it all. They were saying,
Somebody
Calvin,
accused you of eating pizza.
eating all the pizza, Calvin.
Oh. Trying to.
Yeah, Calvin's always hungry.
Yeah, I don't know about that.
Lane Loman is anti-roll do the same thing as a sway bar?
Yes.
Anti-roll bar. You meant anti-roll bar.
Yeah. It's just the slang term is sway bar, but it's an anti-roll bar.
Yeah, like the, yes.
Yeah, and on a torque arm car, and we're big on torque arm cars. We've got a few of them, but they are one of the keys to tuning the chassis. And we get the corner weights right, and that's the key. And then for the response off the line, we dial in the anti-sway bar after we get the corner weights. Okay. The LS Fest East. Where's it at? Is it still in Bowling Green? Yeah. We will go back to that eventually, but it's not on this year's plans. This year we're going to be doing a lot of local testing and preparing, and then through the course of the winter we want to do a major build on the 57. You're going to see a lot of updates on that. That's super exciting. The goal for that car is to do a 4200 with rods, something that Calvin can really lean on, and we want to be able to get it to the sick week in 2023. So we're super excited about that build. And then we've got another 4200 builds, and then through the course of next year we'll be doing the 4-cylinder build. I'm not going to share that car at this time, and we may have a few other projects that we do along the way. So a lot of exciting things coming, and that's part of the reason for the membership outreach to you guys, the efforts to pay for the events that we go to and to help us get the builds done. It's really appreciated, the support that you guys are giving us.
Yep. Thanks to all the new members once again.
Now it's your turn to make a career out of this stuff. Yeah. All right, I need one of those snap-on Need a snap-on extension because it's got the swivel in the end.
Is that in Calvin's?
No.
I think the pizza might be here, Mom.
I'm not sure.
I just
Oh, anti-roll bar okay for use on a leaf spring chassis, yes. But if you're autocrossing, you do not want it. If you're drag racing,
Okay,
yes.
I'll go get it.
It's over here.
Pizza, pizza.
Oh, pizza?
I think I heard a door slam, so.
This is not cool.
Okay, we're just gonna run it on the 3-bar map, because, yes, I don't have.
Oh, this is not good. I don't have the right extension. Ah, here we go.
Okay. So I grabbed a 1-bar map sensor and it wouldn't plug in. So we're just gonna run the car on the 3-bar map. It just, it won't go into boost obviously, but I will order a 1-bar sensor. But just to get it running for today, we'll run it on the 3-bar. So I'm gonna start working on the tune. So.
Any other questions or comments?
He says, flat footing only. I have Calvin disease.
What's that mean? He doesn't like autocrossing? Man, I look forward to getting rid of this brake booster. Good. We gotta remember to bring this little swivel. And on Midwest. Alright, plugs are done. Plug wires on. Where'd you put the plug wires?
Sitting at the bottom of the green thing right there. Back behind you. I just got the HP Tuners plan to start learning on my 2001 Tahoe. Is the air fuel ratio meter a absolute must have for tuning? They're kind of pricey. Yes, you definitely need an air fuel ratio gauge. It's really hard to tune with the narrow bands.
Yes.
So you're much better off getting a wide band. The most affordable one is the Zytronics, I think, and they're only like just over $100. So yeah, it's worth the investment. All right, I'm gonna hook the battery up.
Can you cycle the fuel then?
Yeah.
Before this is over, you might want to give them a little tour of this thing.
Yep.
Okay.
Where's the key?
Probably in my pocket. Yes, right here. All right. We've got oil. We got water. We got plugs. fuel's hooked up. I'm gonna start putting stuff off the car, taking stuff off the car. We should be ready to roll the engine soon. Are any of these Allen wrenches out of your toolbox? Okay.
Alright, we're live.
Is that supposed to smoke? Hold on a second.
You're joking, right?
No, it unplug.
Okay.
Okay, you good. Did you tighten down the fuel rails?
The bolts? Yeah.
Okay.
Alright. Ready for fuel?
As soon as you get your hands up.
Alright.
Alright. This is new. Do we have, I guess I'll need Alan to set this for
yes.
60.
Yeah, 5/8 and 5/8. Okay. So far, I only deleted torque management. Well, that's a good start. Without an AFR sensor, you're taking shots in the dark. Agreed. Lenati says, I would like to see a vid of y'all with y'all and Sloppy. Any project would be cool. I keep trying to convince him to put a 4200 in his Fairmont. So
The screen.
yeah, I unplugged.
Okay.
What rear end is in the car? Anthony asks. It's a 8.8. Yep, Lunati.
Somebody just opened the door outside.
Okay.
That might be your brother.
Yeah. Bert Beiser asks, any noticeable gains to be had on a stock LS with tuning, or
Yes.
I best save up and cam it and spare myself the efforts of tuning a stock LS. Yes, there's big gains you can.
Big gains.
Yeah.
30, 40 horsepower.
Yeah, Matt Happel actually has a video on how to pick up like 30 horsepower just from messing with the power enrichment. A lot of the factory vehicles don't use the power enrichment, meaning they target 14.7 AFR all the time, and you can pick up power big time by taking advantage of that. Lane Lomans asks, will an 8.8 handle 800 ponies? Yes, it will. Bert Weiser, yeah, there's stuff. Yep. Yeah, there's some stuff you can mess with, like the power enrichment, that you can mess with without having an AFR sensor, but that's assuming it's completely stock and you haven't, changed anything. Yep. All right, we're about ready to fire this thing. I just gotta wait for my dad to get back so that we can make sure the fuel doesn't leak and set the fuel pressure and that sort of thing. I'll give you guys a tour after we get through that. So, all right, no pizza.
No pizza
Yeah.
yet?
All right.
All right. Fuel check.
used a sheet metal intake.
Yeah.
Give us your thoughts. Yes, it's our first time. And yeah, I hear they pick up big power, so we'll see. Yep. Yeah, still a torque arm, Anthony. It's still a torque arm. What made you decide to try the 4200? Basically, there was this Nova that competed in Drag Week 2005, and I was inspired to, at least research the engine. And then, I had a Nova with a 250 inline 6 in it, and I was going to supercharge it. And because of that, I've always had a love for inline 6s. But what actually, spurred me to actually take the plunge into the 4200 was the Mighty Car Mods Cresta. When they did that video on that car, I was like, I need a turbo inline 6 in my life. So that's what actually spurred me to actually do it. Does the intake clear the stock hood? Yes. Hopefully the throttle body, if we relocate the alternator, we can flip the throttle body upside down, but hopefully it fits in that orientation. We may actually have to flip it over. All the idle valve stuff is going to be the question of whether that fits. Okay, I think we're ready.
Fuel.
Ready?
Where's the fire extinguisher? Got it. Pin is in, but extinguisher's up front. 60 PSI.
Perfect.
Keep it going. Not a leak. Not a drop. Okay.
Alright. I think we're ready.
Okay.
What do you think?
Is it in park?
It is in park.
Doesn't matter. I want to know it's in park.
Yep.
Okay.
The only thing we're missing is the IAT, but we shouldn't need that. Oil pressure, where's my map? Manifold pressure. Okay. Alright, so that's good.
You want me to throttle it or?
It should kick off. I mean, we'll see.
Okay.
Alright. It's time. Nice. Very nice. Yay! Yep.
That thing's gonna hoot.
Yeah, that thing's got a cam.
beginning of the you didn't miss this morning's video, didn't you?
Yeah. Cool. What? What?
That we
Oh,
literally.
yeah. Yep. Thanks, guys. Chop, chop, chop. Love it. Yep. All right. Do we want to?
Well, let's just have a quick.
Okay.
You want to plug that back in? Let's answer questions.
Oh, yeah.
Talk a little bit.
Yeah, let me do one thing.
Oh.
Tools, calibrate, current. Okay, open the throttle body.
Our pizza still didn't get here.
Okay.
Wide open.
Okay. Alright, that's calibrated. Okay.
Drama-free startups.
Yep.
Gotta love it.
Okay.
Now if they could just get drama-free builders.
Yeah.
Sorry, guys. Took a little longer than expected, but it wasn't for the lack of trying. So far, the only thing that we see that we got to work on besides the alternator is we got an O-ring leaking on the thermostat housing. We caught that earlier when we put the water in the thing. No leaks. Oil pressure's good, and it's got a nice healthy bark to it. This thing takes the fuel right away. I'm looking forward to getting this on the dyno. Any questions or anything? Oh, let me put mine on. Hold on, guys. Be right with you.
Okay. Alright, with Mr. John. Okay. Mr. John 613 Builds asks, what throttle body is that? It's a 102 millimeter 4-volt LS style throttle body, right off of Amazon. So,
Get
You want a beer?
nothing. Oh, cool.
Sounds great. Yes, it does. I wish you could be here to hear it in person. It's got a good.
It's choppy.
It's got a good bark to it. Well, that's cold engine. No, it's when you put the fuel to it, you can hear, or put the throttle to it, you can hear it. It's got that good solid thump to it. It's one thing when you rev an engine, you got a lot of noise, but you can tell an engine that makes power. There's a certain thump to the engine, and this thing, it definitely has that sound to it.
Yeah, we're gonna put a full exhaust on it so it's not so loud. Because driving it 800 miles on
What?
on that
What?
exhaust would be well, I mean, Mom and Dad have kind of done it, but
Yeah, we did drag week with side exhaust on a high compression small block with 410 gears, going across Oklahoma into Texas with a Henry J. It was mind numbing how
Earplugs.
exhausting it was.
earplugs and earmuffs.
Yeah, I still can't hear right.
Anthony.
Hey, thank you for the donation.
Yep. Anthony Laterno said just gave a $10 donation and says, "Thanks for the great content as always, guys. Thank you for the donation." That's guys don't have to do that, but thank you.
For the guys who got on late for the you want to talk about the membership? Make you squeal this
Yeah.
time.
Yep. We've recently added the membership program to the channel. We're certainly not putting a paywall behind or in front of any of our content. We're still going to put out the same content we normally do for free, but we're adding a membership program for bonus stuff, behind the scenes, status updates that are maybe not public, maybe sneak peeks to certain things. But we've added a membership program, so if you go down to the subscribe button, if you're not already subscribed, consider subscribing. But there's also a join button that we've added, and consider becoming a member. It costs a lot of money to do this stuff, and we've certainly given away a lot of stuff, and if we feel like we've earned it, please consider becoming a member. So, yep.
Scroll back a bit, please. How do you do that?
Scroll back. Yeah, you'll have to do that on your own, buddy.
Converter and tire size. Converter is a Jegs
60430. It's I meant to buy a 60429, which is the infamous converter that everybody uses with turbo LSs, but I accidentally bought a 60430, which is a little bit higher stall.
This car loves it.
Yeah, for a foot brake car, it works out very well. It's a little bit loose up top, but it works. It works really well. So, yeah, if you're looking for
Tire size. Hey, we got another member. Thank you.
yeah, thanks, Dan. Appreciate it. We'll yeah, thank you.
The tire size, we're running 255s, and one of the reasons that we wanted to take the turbo off and go with this current package is I want to be able to run drag radials. 255s are on the car. It works very well. It matches. We normally run 28 by 9 slicks. The drag radials are 27.3 tall, so that it's matching the gearing very well. And biggest challenge we'll have is we're going to be driving the drag and drive events on the drag radials. So by the end of the event, the tires are going to give up a lot of their adhesion because they will have gone through heat cycles that are extended. We've done a lot of drag radial running in the past. Calvin Studebakers on 255 drag radials. Foot braking, he's 140, 160 footing that car with ease. That car is like a clock when it comes to 60 foot time. This car in the past has 140, 142, 60 footed on the foot brake, but it's always been on slicks. Only one event we went to, we ran the drag radials. But I actually ran these drag radials behind my 496 that I had a big block in my Studebaker, and these things worked good when they were new. When we go to the Midwest drags, we'll have a new set on this, and that's what size tire we're running. Yep. What other questions? Converter bills, okay. Lucky Cat, thumbs up. Thank you.
Okay, I'm gonna give you guys a tour. I'm gonna take you off the tripod. Let me make sure. Yep, I got battery life. Okay. Oop. Okay. Okay, this is our 85 Camaro.
Crap Marrow!
Yeah, we call it the Crap Marrow. It's a ZF. Ooh. Which is just a decal package from the dealer. And as you guys have seen throughout the live stream, it has a 6-liter. I think it's LY6 components, but most people know the LQ4 stuff better. So it's a dished 6-liter piston, and then we have the infamous 243 heads, and that's LS6 or LS2 that would have come with that. And then it's our first time using this sheet metal intake. I'm not sure what brand it is, but it's a
It was cheap.
yeah, it was
$100.
cheap. Yeah,
Show 'em
100,
headers on
102 millimeter throttle body, and don't be like Cletus, and don't forget to Loctite your throttle blade screws. And also, if you don't want your IAC passages to whistle, you should clearance it. So, yeah, just a pro tip there. These are the headers that we just built for the car. They are a set of big block Chevy headers that are designed for a third gen Camaro that we cut up and welded LS flanges to. They're 1 7/8 primaries with a 3-inch secondary. Is that what you call that?
No, yeah, it's a 3-inch. Yep, secondary.
Okay.
Yep, sorry.
And then we were having a little bit of issues earlier. This fitting got into the back of the alternator, and that's why the alternator's not there. We may try to relocate it down into the F-body location, which is down there on the block. As I mentioned earlier, it has a sloppy stage 2 camshaft in it. And the heads have been ported by a friend of ours at Snyder Performance. And the transmission is a Turbo 400, just a regular old Ford pattern Turbo 400 with a JAGS 60430 converter. Here's another little speed secret. This is a high pressure brake switch that is adjustable. And this is what activates the 2-step rev limiter on the car. You don't want to just run it off of the brake light circuit, because that activates at too low of a pressure, and you'll find that it'll hold the 2-step longer than maybe what you want. So a high pressure brake switch, you got to make sure you get a pressure switch that has the EPDM diaphragm material, because if you get the other styles, like a Viton style or something like that, the brake fluid will eat it up. So I had to like special order that. I think it took like a month for them to make that thing. So
let's talk about some of this stuff. Come over and shoot in from this angle. You see this brace here? This brace is put in here because when you're trying to launch a foot brake car and you have to mat the brake pedal, we changed the rear brake calipers to F-150 brake calipers, and we had to add this brace here because the firewall flexes, because you've got to put so much pressure on it to hold the torque and load the engine against the turbo. So there's 100 little details in this car that we had to figure out and make work to get this car to run the way that it did. With, you know, I don't want to come across the wrong way. I don't want to sound like we're bragging, but a 930 at 144 miles an hour with basically $100 junkyard engine with truck heads, truck intake, and we only ran 19 pounds of boost, 19 pounds of boost in this thing. A 930. We're pretty proud of its performance level. It's not turning the world sideways, but it's no slouch. It's 144 miles an hour, 140 60-foot times. It in the fives in the 8th mile, 118 miles an hour, or 119 miles an hour in the 8th. This thing flew with the 5.3.
Yep.
So what else is coming up? I'm looking back this way because Calvin's
yeah, I got you guys are back there. That's where all your questions are coming up on. I set up a TV back there to try and help us out.
About the firewall flex on the F bodies. Yep, when you hit the brakes. Oh yeah, it's very real. What's it weigh? It was 3310. It used to, when it had the 4.8, we had A lot of fun. We bought a 4.8 out of basically a guy pulled it out of a junk pile, and we bought it from him. We put it in the car, and we got that thing. It was an iron block, so the car weighed 3420, 3430, and Calvin ran his first ever 9 in the car, and he got his license in this car. And it was funny. We were up at the track, and on the last pass, it knocked out a cylinder. It burned up a piston. One of the pistons that's hanging on the wall of shame. That's a little tour of that'll come in one of the videos. So he was able to, because of his driving, the track owner, Mike, signed it off, and he was able to get his license.
Waived the passes.
And we brought the car home and decided to put the aluminum 5.3 in it, and we picked it up. Basically had $0 in the engine. We bought it, sold the heads off, put the truck heads on, and have no idea how many miles were on it. The one cylinder bore is absolutely horrible looking, number 8 cylinder, but we decided it was together and we were going to run it, and very quickly got it down to the 930s, put a ton of street driving on it. This thing is a riot to drive on the street, and if you don't keep the traction control on, this thing gets absolutely stupid in a hurry.
Yeah, it's a Mega Squirt Gold box, and this switch right here, that turns the traction control on, and then it's a light up switch, and when the switch lights up, that means that it's pulling power because of the traction control. And
you want me to jack it up while you answer the question?
Yeah, well, let me see if we can see it. Somebody, Joe Cool asks, what torque arm setup do you have, and how is it attached to the rear end? So, hello from Hayburn, Idaho as well. Hello! So let me see if we can see this. We're gonna need light.
Yeah. Room under there too.
Yeah, might be worth jacking it up. But gotta love the aluminum slots.
Every pass has been made with aluminum slots.
Yep. Those slots have gone almost over 140 miles per hour. But here is the O-ring that's leaking. The O-ring on this filler neck or thermostat housing is leaking. That's actually a thermostat housing from a 4200, and we were able to slot the one hole, and it bolts right up to an LS. Just because we're cheap and we didn't feel like ordering the straight housing that you can buy for the for the LS engines.
Sorry about that.
That's fine. But it's just truck accessories at the moment. We're gonna look at doing that LS1. We'll probably still keep it the truck spacing, but we're probably going to do an LS1 style alternator so that we can make room for this fitting on our fuel rail. So yeah, that was one issue we ran into today, but we just ran it with no alternator. So Dad's jacking up the car at the moment, and we're going to show you the rear suspension setup since a couple people have asked about it.
Over here.
Okay. You're ready. Okay. We got a light. Let me grab a light. All right. Yeah. The masking tape to spell out push off, we forgot to put a label on our kill switch, and I made it a little bit obnoxious.
That track official screamed about it.
Yeah.
Bring it over here.
Oh, okay. All right.
Alright. I welded brackets right to the 8.8. I don't know if you've been here for the whole thing, but I brought up that you just do a little bit of preheating and then weld it in. Made the bracket to attach everything. The sleeves are threaded sleeves for the heim joints, and everything's welded right to the factory sheet metal torque arm. It is.
Ties into the original rubber or polyurethane style.
Yeah, that one's
torque
the
arm
original
mount.
rubber one. It's
Yeah.
nothing. And then we've got a brake control back here off of a sprint car because everything was built very low end. They turn their brakes off, so when you do the burnout, you turn this on, it locks out the brakes, and then you hit your brake pedal and you do your burnout with that. We got a $6 from the junkyard, a flex fuel sensor, and we run flex fuel in this thing. And then a super simple fuel pump in the bottom. And then over here, this will crack you up. Part of the preload is done over here with this apparatus. I don't know if you can see it. I gotta find where it's at. Okay, but this link is basically a tube welded to a lug nut, and the lug nut is welded to the heim end, and that's how we adjust the preload in this. So it's this thing is it's affectionately called crap marrow. We enjoy this car tremendously, but it literally is a piece of crap that's well sorted and flies. It's this car will go.
If you guys are fans of Turbo John, this is very much a build that is of the same ilk. So, yeah, if you guys don't follow him, he went sevens with wire nuts in his car. So he almost went a 6 with wire nuts in his car. I'm not saying to do that, but yeah.
It doesn't matter what you have. Just make what you have work.
Right, exactly. Yeah, it's don't try and make it perfect, just get it done and get it running.
31 spline.
Yep, it's a 31 spline, so it's an Explorer 8.8.
Yep. And then I added about 5 thousandths extra to the shim in the spring pack.
Yep. So
What else?
yeah, I think that's.
They got to hear the thunder.
Yep, we got to hear the thunder.
We got 5 new members.
Yep.
Thank you very much.
Thank you
we
very
got
much,
our
guys.
first, second, third, fourth, and fifth members.
Yep.
And we got a donation. Thank you to all. I didn't have an opportunity to write down your names as we were going, but
Yep.
this has been fun.
Yep. Do we want to do one more encore or?
That's up to you.
All right, we'll start it up one more time for the guys that maybe missed it.
I don't know how many are still there.
I gotta see if it goes into closed loop idle. That's kind of why I'm. Looks like 31 of them.
Close that door.
Yeah. All right, encore.
Not gonna stay for the fire up. No pressure there yet, but you need your computer. All right, Calvin's gonna start it up again. We want to see if it goes into closed loop. Is it gonna get enough engine temperature to do that? I thought it had to be.
I'm talking about the idle speed.
Gotcha. Okay.
The TPS wasn't calibrated, so it wouldn't go in.
Gotcha.
Now let's see what it does. If it is happy or not.
A little rev check done.
Yeah, we can.
We'll have a little rev check there. Oh, that thing's got a thump.
Alright, hope you guys enjoyed that. I think we're going to call this live stream off there. Make sure you guys are staying tuned to the channel. We're going to, the next time you guys see this, it will hopefully be on the dyno. Obviously, as you saw, we got a few things we got to fix first, but you're going to have that with anything. So make sure you guys like and subscribe. Consider becoming a channel member. And
look for t-shirts in the
Yep.
near future.
Yep.
We want to expand this. We're going to Ohio, Indy, Missouri this year.
Yep.
I don't think we're going to make the Florida event, but we will. One of our big goals is to make it to Sick Week next year. And there's a few other events. We may reach out to some other YouTubers to see if we can participate in some of their events, and we appreciate you going along for the ride with us.
Yep. Appreciate it, guys. So we'll see you in the next one. Niblack 57 signing off.